Hello once again, space engineers. We are here today to test out a brand new ship and also to add a new script that I've found, and I want to see how that works. And I really I played with it a little bit on one ship and it worked pretty well, but I'm going to see how it does on this new ship. Now this is a miner ship that one of our faction guys just built. We're trying to get off planet. We are on a hard setting where we have deep ores down like 1 kilometer and things like that. There's lots of mods out there that you can use with that. And after you've played Space Engineers a little while, you go beyond that and you just look for something new and different and a little more difficult. And so that's how we're playing right now. And this is a miner that we've got that we're hoping to take down 1 kilometer. I can already tell you it's not going to work. I can see that from just its design. He's new to designing vertical drillers. He does horizontal drillers. He's built some of the best ones that I've used for months and months and months now. And they're small and light, and they just go and do their job. And they're ugly, but this is a much nicer looking ship. But the other one is not all that pretty, but it sure does work great. So anyway, let's take a look at this ship. And let's see if you can spot why this is not going to work very well as a miner. And then we're going to start on this and do that. And it's pretty obvious right here that that's not going to work because the miner has to be very, very clean on those edges, and we can't have. We need a Gatling gun because we need protection, because we're going to be out on the moon and out in space with this. That's why it's in hydrogen. I've got miners that work great atmospheric. They just work so well, and they're small. And I built vertical one, but I'm not very good at building hydrogen. So I asked him to build one. He's very good at hydrogen ships, and but he's not good at miners. So that's why we're kind of working together. But anyway, we're going to test this today for more than just being a miner, because I can already say that is not going to work, because that won't go down the hole right there, and that the gun certainly won't. And also, if you noticed up here, extra points for you, that this ladder is not going to work either, and it's very small, but it will catch on the edge. And I don't know how we're going to work this because we can't fly. I mean, you can see I'm out of hydrogen, but it doesn't really matter. We can't fly on this planet. Anything that has more than, I forget what it is, but well, everything is very difficult in flying. We're using a mod that stops most flying. If you're on the moon, you can fly, but it uses a lot of hydrogen and doesn't fly very well, and so on and so forth. Out in space, you can fly pretty good, but not on any kind of place that's got any sort of gravity. So we're going to go up here, and I'm going to show you a couple of things that I always do when I test a new ship. And one of the things I noticed here, he didn't have an antenna on it. And obviously this is a large grid ship, and you put an antenna on it. Those antennas are so huge. Well, there's a great way of doing this. And I got another video out about this, but I just want to mention it. You can take your rotor, put a rotor and remove the head that was on it, and then put a small head, attach a small head, and then you can add some blocks, and you can add stuff like programming blocks, which takes up a lot of space if you're trying to build this. But here you just 1 or 2 squares, and you can have all kinds of stuff. And this antenna is the same distance and the same power and everything that it is for a large antenna. So why not use the small one? And what I've done is I just put some blocks on here and made a little row, and now I've got these 3 programming blocks and this 1 antenna. So here's what we're going to do with those. Let's get back up here on if we can get back up. There we go. Oh, these are slippery kind of these new tubes. All right, and oh, he's got a camera here. That's not going to work for the hover. I'm going to have to rebuild a little bit. We may pause the video here in a minute. This works if you're using the typical thing that we use for the miner as a script called PAM, and we use that all the time. And you need a camera in the front, and usually on the sides is good too, but certainly you need one on the front. But this new script that we're going to use is called Hover, and it's for just flying around. And it needs them on the bottom, which is really difficult, in my opinion. It's difficult to do for a lot of ships like this, like for the miner or for most of the ships we build. You know, we don't build them to have cameras on the bottom very much, certainly not in the front. So we've got to redesign our things a little bit. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump up in here, and we're going to have to probably do some redesign, thinking about that. So I've set these programmable blocks. I put the name on them, but I have not loaded them. So sometimes people are new and watching these videos, so I'm going to show you how to do that. You come into the workshop, and then you just look for Hover, and that's the one we want to test today. Is JTerp's Hover script. It's brand new, or almost new. It says it was released in October of 2021, which is a couple of months from now, but so it's really new. And talk about futuristic. I don't know exactly when. I think it was probably October 2020 you released it, but it is fairly new, and it's an interesting script. So something that I was looking at trying to build myself, and I'm glad that he's built it, because I prefer picking up somebody else's work where I can. All right, so you have to have a name of the group with all of this. It's called Hover Group. You can make it anything you want, but I just go ahead and copy this default. And what it tells you up here, you've got to have the exactly 3 cameras placed on the bottom of the ship facing down in a triangular pattern. You need to read his page. You can search on the Steam Workshop and you can find it. You could search by Hover and you find it, because there's not really that many out there. You put all the thrusters. It says you can keep some out as emergency thrusters. I don't know about that yet. I'm just going to put all thrusters, 1 gyroscope, even though you may have more than one. He only wants 1 for some reason. 1 ship controller, either cockpit or remote, an LCD, and a connector. Okay. Well, we're going to not do these optionals. We're going to do just the minimums. But we need the 3 cameras placed on the bottom of the ship facing down in a triangular pattern. Basically, that's 1 on the nose and 1 on each of the left and right back sides, that is as on the corners as possible. So, and 1 in the center of the nose. So that's what he's looking for. Then all the thrusters, the gyroscope, and the ship controller. So I'm going to go ahead and make that, except I don't have the cameras for that right now. There is a camera, but we're not going to see it. It says here, no block group name Hover Group is found. So we're going to do that, and we don't want to put that connector, but we want to put, let's just go for thrusters. And there's a lot of thrusters in here. And I'm going to first do this and just say thrusters, because there's times that we want to turn those on and off. And I'm just going to take these out of here because they don't give me any kind of value in the terminal and the toolbar. I also like to make, we're talking about how we set things up, or how I set things up. I always put batteries here. Now I usually will put in here the name of the ship, but we haven't named this ship yet. And I highly, I don't recommend, I demand, when people make ships that are going to be part of my my base here, if you're going to land on my base, you're going to have your ship named. That's just the way it is, because when you connect to my base and you want to fuel or anything, this control panel gets crazy. And so if I'm just testing something out here and this is a brand new ship, this is okay just to put batteries. But before we would make this part of our fleet and actually use this, we've got to name the ship. But until it's finished designing, we can't really name it just yet. So that's okay. Drills, we want to make those a set 2. And there we go. And we can see those in inventory, but I don't really care to see them in the terminal. They just makes that too complex. Okay, so we want the gyroscope. We want to make sure this ore detector gets turned up all the way. It is. That's good. We need the remote control, the gyroscope, the thrusters. Okay, and then, well, these are the hydrogen tanks. It's nice to see because we've got tanks. So I'm going to put here the H2 tanks. And then I don't need to see them again in the terminal because I can come up here and select this and I can see what's going on with them. The hydrogen storage is 5 million liters and we've got that, so we're full. Everything looking good there, and we could go into inventory if we wanted to and mess around with it. Oh no, that's again the tanks. Oh, tanks are always different. We want to put them back in here, which really stinks. But here, if you need to see the individual ones, then you want to do this. That always gets confusing. I mean, I remember it after I do it, but anyway, H2 works a little different. So we're wanting to make our hover group. So we've got to get our cameras set up, and we'll do that. Well, let's just go and find a place to do that, since we're talking about it. And see, he's got a sensor here. That's another thing that Pam uses. And so what I'm going to have to do, and I don't like it, but what I'm going to do is just add a block so we can get moving and be able to test this thing with the cameras. That I want to put a block right there. Oh, he's put, that's why. He's got this, the new panels on here that really make the ship look nice, but you can't attach anything to it. So I'm going to I'll just take that one off. And now he's got, how do we turn that off now? I forget. He uses this, there it is. What's it called? Synchronous stuff. He uses that all the time, and it is nice for building, but it's a pain in the rear if you're building back on it. You want to just put one thing on it. Okay, so I've added just a simple block, and I'm going to add a camera. Cameras are right here. Number 2. And from the pictures I've seen on the workshop, they turn this camera this way with the little dot. You can see the little dot facing forward, and some cameras have this loop on the bottom. Some of them don't. I don't know why we have different kinds, but I think it's different mods that we've put on or things. So, but the little dot towards the front is kind of important, I guess. So we're going to do that. Now that's as close to centered as I can get because we've got this ladder in the way. And then I'm just going to go do the same thing back here instead of trying to dig around and figure something out. And since we've got the gun back here and everything, I'm going to take off this plate. Oh, I can put a plate right there. Well, that's an interesting spot right on the, not a plate, but a block, and that's going to be great. Of course, we won't be able to drill anything, but that's okay. And then we get back here to cameras, crouch down here, there we go, and make sure that dot is facing forward, and it is. Oops, can't do that because of that. So we'll have to fly up just a little bit. Yeah. Let's just take control of the ship. And it has no remote controller. It has a remote control. It has a remote control. We just looked at that. Well, we know it's got a remote control. We walk right into it when we can't see it from there. Something very strange on this ship too. Watch as I climb here. Watch my hydrogen. It's as if I hit the button. You see, it came on. But I didn't hit the button, and I just fell off because I have no hydrogen. And I'm going to turn it off. There's something really odd here, and I got to talk to him about how he built this ship. I've never seen that before, and maybe you have. I've not seen it. Usually we are on planets we can fly, and I don't care. But this one, there's something odd there, and I have to turn off the hydrogen. And then there, but see, we've got a remote control. Obviously, we're right there in its face. Why can't we do a remote control? I don't know, but we're going to not worry about that very much. We're just going to lift off just slightly. Well, we are going to have to worry about it because we won't be able to get back on this thing if we can't remote control it. Now my antenna's turned off. See, there's something odd about this ship, and I don't know what's happening, but we'll get it figured out. And this says there's no remote controller on the grid. Okay, well that worked. I don't understand why, because I know I've had them before. And that could be, we just got a new version of Space Engineers, so it could be that they've fixed that, where we can't do that anymore. That's interesting. But anyway, I put the antenna on the same grid as this large remote control. It could be that if I took out this remote control, it would work as well. But he's put the flight seat right on top of that remote control, so I can't really do that because I don't want to have to redo everything in the flight seat. So we want to move on with this, so let's do this. We need to get those other cameras. This is another new thing that I can't say I really care for very much in the new version, is they've got so much stuff flying around. It's almost impossible to see what you're doing. This is the new thing as Space Engineers, and I'm not real happy with it. I guess it's realistic, you know, I get that, but it sure makes it hard to get any work done. All right, once again, we're putting on these cameras out to the corners, and we put that one on, and now we're going to put, whoops, oh yeah, there it is. It's just hard to see, really hard to see with all this dust flying around. Okay, the oh, that's the, is that the front one? Yeah, that's the front one. Okay. I'm telling you, it's hard to tell where you are. I knew there's another one I got to put out there. Okay, so the front is that way on the ship. I think I may have put that at the camera wrong. Well, we'll just see what happens. They didn't say you must put the cameras that way, so let's really see what happens. All right, this one we know is going forward. So now we got to bring the ship back down. If I push the right button for coming down. Wow, that comes down fast. Heavy ship. Okay, something to remember. Now we can finally take it for a little ride. And again, the jetpack kicks on. Weird. All right, so now let's get back into our setup. Now that we have all of those done, we've got we want our hover. It says we don't have our hover group found, so we want to get that done. So we need the gyroscope. We need all of the last. Don't you just love that the way that works? These cameras. View, we should see dust. Okay, so that's good. So that's the camera we want. Is camera 3, the second one. So we want these 3 cameras. We want a gyroscope. We need a flight seat. And what else do we need? Thrusters. I'm not going to be able to do thrusters into the group, so we've got to show those in the terminal just so we can set them up here. Okay. All right, so we go back here again and we select those. We've got our gyroscope, we've got a flight seat, we've got these 3 cameras, and make sure what else we got here. 3 cameras, all thrusters, 1 gyroscope, 1 ship controller. Okay, so we've got everything set up, and this has to be called hover group. So the ship took off. Did you see that or hear that? And we're up at 24 meters now. This is something I noticed before, that is, once you set up that hover group, it just goes. It just automatically goes into hover. I think it should be that you have to turn that on, but it just automatically goes to hover. Now that hover, where you set that up here, is you can tell it how far you want that to go. And this says here that that hover height should be 20 meters. So why we're set at 25, I don't really know, but we know that this one is going to be 5 meters off. Now I don't like to sit at 20 meters. You run into trees and things like that. I mean, for now, just for running around, I'm going to set this at, let's set it at 60 meters above the terrain, because that's kind of what you want. A speed limit of 40. Okay, well, we may run into, bang into stuff, but let's see what happens. there's this constant angle tolerance. I haven't quite figured out. No, that's the angle of what it's going to be, I understand, but I haven't figured out how much I really need or don't. That depends on each ship. So I'm going to leave that. This is a dampening multiplier, and I changed this on my other ship. I didn't see a big difference. I put a big, pretty heavy ship, not like huge, but it's a big ship, and I put it up to 20, and it still crashed into the side of the hills. But he says a light ship such as a hover bike, well, this one wouldn't be. This one says maybe use 10. So I'm going to start off and set this at 10 because this is a pretty heavy ship. And we run a check code, and we do an OK. And so that's where that is. And that says the setup is complete, but the hover didn't change, as you might have noticed. So I'm going to put in here the hover on and run it. Well, it seems like hover on was already there. So let's change height to 60. And there we go. As you can tell, we're moving up. And so now we'll be set at a new. And so the numbers aren't very good, in my opinion. 60 is not where I want it to be. It's a 64. I like it to be a little more accurate than that. So we're just testing this script along with testing this ship. And if it goes this way, that's one thing. So it seems to work, though. The hover, the program seems to control pretty well. I have to say, I like it in general. I like it a lot, but I think that you got to be real careful about getting it set up correctly. All right, so let's do this real quick. We always go ahead and set up these other ones, and I'm going to just load these in because I use the refuel. This ship, we're not going to refuel it, but at least not right now. And that's Izzy script. We use that, and then Magistrator script, telemetry, so we can see the ship. If it goes down and I have to abandon ship, it's nice to know where it is. If we have to find it. It's a nice little program he just released not long ago, and you just load them in and you're done. That's what I like about those kind of programs. All right, with the hover, I'm just going to turn the cruise on. It's not daylight, but that's even more interesting. Cruise on and hit run, and the ship starts flying. Now, see, it's heading right towards my base here that I spent weeks building, and it just picks up and says, okay, I'll move away. Oh, that was not nice. That's not controlling really where I'd like that to be. I shouldn't have taken off so close to my base. But you see how it controls pretty well, and it's flying up the hill, trying to anyway. Oh no. Well, I can tell you right now, we got to get something else going on here. This is not devastating, but certainly not fun. I'm going to have to look at all that damage. Okay, cruise off. Hover off. Let's just go do a basic ship test and see if this thing even, is it the ship or is it the hover that's the problem? And I don't think it's the ship, because he builds really good ships. And Yeah, we're sitting at 0. Oh, we don't have any hydrogen. How do we not have any hydrogen? It was just full. Hydrogen tanks. Yeah, we're out of hydrogen. Well, that doesn't work. And I'm going to have to cheat a little bit and go in here and get rid of this weather because I can't see anything. And I'm doing a test, so let's get back over here. Man, this thing sucks the juice. I mean, I understand we were sitting around for just a little bit, but wow, that's not going to work as a ship, as an explorer ship. Because it's certainly not going to probably work as a driller ship even. It's under-fueled. And I don't have a place right now. I'm going to set it down over here. And we'll find a way to fill it. It's got a filler on the top, which is kind of different. And I'm not sure exactly the best way to... Well, dadgum, look at that. It just... Wow, 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 this is a nasty damager. Set this thing off on, and now it's out of fuel, so guess what? That's where it's going to stay. Oh boy. Well, so much for that one. That's what you call next. I don't have enough fuel to get it off the ground. It's stuck. Got a little touch of fuel in there, but I don't want to fill it up again. It consumes too much fuel. Of course, that is hydrogen flying around on Earth where the gravity likes to suck the hydrogen. So you got to give it that. Maybe on another planet that's going to be okay. But it did not work well here at all, and I now got a lot of damage to my bases. Okay, well, I'm going to fix that, and we'll see you on the next round. Tell me if you like this. I mean, hey, there's the failures just as much as the successes. So tell me if you like this video, and you know, if you want to see more of these test flights. The hover program seems to have worked. We'll do that again. My thanks to the guy that wrote that, and apologies for not showing a very good light of it right now. But this ship just is not really a great one to do that. We'll find another ship and test that out. So leave comments, do hit a like and subscribe, and you know, that notification button and all that kind of good stuff. Appreciate you watching. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next video of the Space Invaders stuff and Beyond Survival.